So, welcome all of you. Om Shanti. And before we begin, let's spend a minute in silence to invoke the presence of the Supreme Being. So, welcome all of you once again to the episode 63, this time on spirituality for the Values for Life series. And we are highly fortunate and so honored to have with us our very dear sister, Dr. Jinnah. Welcome to the episode. And thank you for taking out your time from the busy schedule to be with us. We all of us know her very well, but it's my duty to introduce because we always have new participants as well. So Sister Jinnah is the founder and the director of the Brahma Kumaris Meditation Museum, located in the metropolitan Washington, D.C. area. And all of you know her. She's a famous TV personality hosting the America Meditating radio site, if I can show that later. And Sister Jinnah, she's the host of this popular show. And also, if you all, not many people know that she's the recipient of the President's Lifetime National Community Service Award. And she also has been selected by Empower, A Billion Women 2020, as one of the 100 most influential female leaders of 2015. So as always, I would speak a few lines in the form of a poem related to her specialities and also today's value of punctuality. So Sister Jinnah is a soul who's ever ready and punctual. That's because she has imbibed divinity as a ritual. And let me tell you, I'm interrupting in the poem. She was ever ready with this punctuality. She said, yes, I'll do it. So there you are. She's always ever ready and punctual, really. So she shall now guide us on the inner being, which is indeed actual. And by giving us all the pros of soul consciousness, which are indeed factual. And that's our reality. We consider ourselves as this body, which is indeed very casual, which makes us commit sins again and again, which are indeed very brutal. So let's establish our connection to the divine, which is the only thing that's real, that makes us resurrect and emerge like an angel rising from the burial. We had the Easter Sunday and the Good Friday. So resurrection is there floating in our minds. And finally, her talks inspire so many souls because they are not just conceptual, but ignite the spark within and make us feel truly spiritual. So with this, today we have a new host today as well. So I would welcome Sister Taran as well. Welcome to you. And if I could ask you to welcome Sister Jinnah with flowers. Thank you.
Thank you, brother. And I'd like to welcome Sister Jinnah. It's my actually privilege and fortune to welcome you with these beautiful orchids. They're just freshly blooming. They just started. They're like a little Baba's baby. They get lots of vibration. So thank you and welcome. And please accept these beautiful blooms.
Thank you. Wonderful. Thank you. It's great to meet you too, Taran.
Yep.
Very nice.
So,
Om Shanti. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. You know, sometimes when I'm on major platforms around the world where not everybody in the audience is seeking spirituality or has felt that they have awakened, I'll just say, what's up? And then everybody can understand when I say that. Anyway, Om Shanti, for protocol of the Brahma Kumari world, who I've had the fortune of belonging to for over 3 decades. By lieu of my mother and father, who turned out, well, actually, they turned up to an event where Daddy Janki was the main person speaking in Miami, Florida at the time. This is like 40 years ago. And it was about being one-pointed. I remembered my mother telling me that the flyer said, this woman, Daddy Janki, has been remembering the one-pointed God for like 40 years in those times. And that's how I somehow got into the energy of the BK world, because when they came back from that one meeting in that night, I had realized something had shifted. I didn't know what it was, but something changed in them. There was something. It was very subtle. It was very sublime. They just went to an event, but when they came back, there was something that was different about them. And they were quieter. They were quieter. And then the next morning, I heard them rustling around the house and going out the door like at 5:30 in the morning and wondering, where in the world are they going? But anyway, I left them. And they showed up at the center at 6 o'clock in the morning. And they were knocking on the door. Sister Wadi, or Veronica McHugh, was the head of the center there. And apparently they were knocking on the door. The door was locked. And the person comes to the door. And they open the door and they say, hello, can I help you? And my mom, Sister Gita, says, yes, Daddy Janki told us to come here at 6 o'clock. It's 6 o'clock. And the door of the center was still locked. And so Sister Wadi is like, well, I don't think she actually meant that you were supposed to come. And my mom at the time is kind of facetious. She says, no, she said to come to this address at 6 o'clock. We're here. So apparently she locked the door and says, okay, hold on, I'll be back. And so she locked the door. And my mom and my dad were standing outside the door. And there were apparently other students gradually walking towards the door. And I guess in 5 minutes or so, the door was open because they were still getting ready on the inside. Daddy Janki was in Miami. So sometimes things change. So they went in, they looked around. It's a different environment. It's a different place. They felt like they were in a time warped machine. Things had just been, they were transported into another space and time. They sat in the classroom. Daddy Janki comes out. She sits on the seat in front of the class. And my mother was transfixed with the vibrations. And she kept questioning, where am I? What is this? What is this? And she couldn't deny the feelings, the purity, the peace, the love. There was something inside of the soul. And I think many of you who are watching, who have become students of the Brahma Kumaris, or maybe you've been circling around different traditions, or maybe you are rooted in your tradition, but you're looking for clarity or deeper experiences. There's something that happens in you where the soul feels like it has transcended time and it's becoming very present. It's showing up at the right time in the right way. And things start to flow for you. It's almost like effortless. It just happens in an effortless way. So anyway, back to the classroom with my mom, Daddy Janki, and everyone. She's sitting in this space. She came on time. She was able to sit up front. As a result of being on time and sitting up front and being punctual, she was able to receive everything because she had put the right intention, the right effort into being where she was supposed to be. And of course, I don't have to tell you anymore. She was never the same. After that day, her whole life changed. What if she didn't show up? She was invited. Come at this place at 6 o'clock tomorrow. Punctuality. What if she showed up at 6:15? What if she didn't show up at all? Would her fate had been the same? Would she have sat in that same seat that made her so comfortable that she was opened to feeling that vibration of God through Daddy Janki? And the vibration of the space too. So this whole value of punctuality isn't a small one. And even when Manoj Bhai gave it to me, I remember that I says, oh, punctuality, no problem. I'm always on time. But I started to really churn it deeper and I realized it's not just about that. My parents were punctual 40 years ago, showed up in a strange house with strange people, listening to strange ideas. We call it strange because it was new. They'd never seen people in white. They've never been in a place that was so pure and peaceful. They'd never heard anything that was so simple that it would have changed them. And that attendance and that punctuality changed two souls for the rest of their entire journeys. And as a result of their change, it impacted my life and hundreds of thousands of others thereafter. Because of one punctuality, made them sit there, made them feel comfortable enough, safe enough in the space. So I'm raised in America. I have the fortune of having two parents from different cultures. So I see things like this and not like this. I see things like this. I can't see it like this. I don't know what that means. I don't know how to live like this, at least not in this incarnation. But anyway, being raised here, there's certain behaviors or norms that you develop. And an important one is to be on time. And when I started to become an instrument of the Brahma Kumaris and teach, and then Daddy Janki sent me to Washington to head the center here and to start to lead the culture and the spirituality here. It was different when I was in New York living with Sister Mohini. I stayed with her for 4 years, but I wasn't taking care of a center on my own. I was taking directions, and whatever she told me to do, I would do. So I never saw everything. But when I came to Washington, I started to see things that, now I understand. For example, meditation starts at 6. Murli starts at 6:15. And the students would come at 6:30. And I would be like, what is this? I'm sitting in the class by 5 or 10 to 6. Like a good yogi, that's what Baba says. You meditate at 6. You start the Murli at 6:15 and you end it by 7:30 or whatever. So I said, okay. And the normal thing for me to do is to say, meditation is at 6 and Murli is at 6:15. Yes, sure. And then souls would come at 6:25, 6:30, 6:40. And I would sit on the guddy, you know, and on the chair in my seat, and I go, in my mind, I'm reading, and why do they keep coming late? Okay, and Baba says, and this is the date, and you have to be peaceful. And anyway, it would go on and on. And then once in a while, somebody maybe would come at 6 for meditation. And then maybe at Sata Murli, and there's a few there at 6:15. But then there were always these few. They had no idea that every time they walked into the room late, they were karmically disturbing an energy of sacredness, which was responsible for serving the world and transforming the world completely. And so this would happen over and over again. It was always these few. And then I would speak to certain souls about it, and they say, oh, that's just Indians, they're always late. I go, no, no, no. You cannot say that. There's no way a culture is born and God told that culture, now, because you're Indian, you will be late. There's no way that can happen. There's no way. And so I just erased that. And I said, no, it's a matter of understanding the consequences of time management and the importance of punctuality, how much it's connected to your self-worth, your self-esteem, an understanding of your responsibility, an understanding of people's time and life is as important as yours. So there's no need for you to have them waiting or to disturb them when they're in the midst of something that is important to them. So this went on for a few years. And I remember talking to Baba, which I call God. And I would say, I don't understand. I'm always on time. Shouldn't I get the karma now that people come on time or even way ahead of me? And I have to admit and tell you today, it still happens. And it surprises me. So when I started on my path, and I used to go to the center in Miami. This was before my, so-called days of surrender, dedication to service occurred. I was sitting in the classroom in Miami, and I'm just in meditation. Before the Murli, remember, meditation, you come to class by that time early, and then Murli would start 6:15. So I was always present. I would not be late. Never was I ever late to the Murli class. So I'm sitting in meditation. And I'm not sure, back then, I wasn't sure, now I know, but back then, I was transported into a dreamlike experience, which actually was a trance. And it took me down a memory track. And I was in a different form, different name. And I was climbing up this mountain. I'm new. I don't know much about Raj Yoga or any of that. All I knew was Baba, Murli, these things were good for you. Keep reading them. Stay pure. Do service. That's all I knew. My only Murli point for 8-9 years, remember Baba, couldn't understand a thing. I'm going up this mountaintop, climbing. I'm getting tired. And there's Brahma Baba, the founder of the Brahma Kumaris. And I'm like, Baba, wait, I'm tired. I can't, just wait. And this tall, beautiful man, Brahma Baba, he turned. And he looks at me and he says, wait on no one. And he kept going. I was so furious in that vision. how could you leave me like that? And I had to somehow, it didn't end right. I was like getting up to go. I don't know if I made it, if I didn't make it. And I remembered that vision when I started to experience individuals who were never punctual. And their lack of punctuality became an instrument that would hold me back because I had to wait on them. Now, here's the formula. Let's say that you have a vision that is your own. You have a part that is your part and you are playing it. Yes, no doubt. But let's say you just feel that there are things that you're responsible for, things that you have to do. And then there are other people who might not have the same level of responsibility or vision. And so they're not really mindful of the energy of others, but they're a part of your story. And so here I am ready to go. And then I have to wait 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 15 minutes sometimes. Then I end up under the karmic energy of that person. And my question to God and to myself has been, why can't my punctuality make them hurry up and understand the importance of time? What is it? I can't tell you that I have the answer. But I do know that there are a lot of virtues connected to the value of punctuality. And I did mention a few. To be punctual, it's like you're ever ready. You are mindful of energy. You are even mindful that when you walk into a space that has a specific time allotted for an event or for a moment to occur, is that you are bringing the supportive energy in building that vibration very strongly. And that when you come into that space late, with a different energy and a different vibration, you weaken the energy of that space. Have you ever held a workshop or a program and everybody who is there at 10 o'clock, everyone is in sync with the conversation, you come in at 10:30 and you start to tell people what you think the host is offering, and it changes the whole energy in the space and everyone has to be patient? Manoj, you've been there, right? It's like you just have to be patient with that because they missed a big part of the event. So the consequence of having a lack of punctuality is that you weaken the power that the drama, the universe, God, God's children, and the people are trying to create to sort of move the drama forward or to manifest things or to amplify the vibration for the sustenance or the transformation to occur. And a lot of people, I think, do not understand the importance of punctuality. Because if they did, they would realize that what they're creating for the soul and for the future is that when they actually need time to be their friend, it'll be a waiting process. That time being your friend to come to support you would also be late. So here, let me tell you what happened when I found myself really wondering, what is it? Why is it that I'm always waiting on people? I'm always waiting. And even if I would lie and say, oh, I have to leave by 10, the meeting is at 10, knowing that it's 10:30, they still showed up at 10:40. And so the only compensation that I began to understand about this value, even though I am punctual, was that I must have been like that in the past, that I was never on time. And that I had people waiting on me and waiting on me and waiting on me. And when I realized that, I had to say sorry to so many souls who I don't even remember from previous lifetimes. I just had to say, I'm sorry, I didn't know I was putting you through such anguish. What ignorance. And so maybe in this incarnation, the drama had to make me a very punctual, timely person. And the virtues that I have felt about it, again, I'll mention them again. You know, there's a self-esteem about you. You are aware that your presence and what you bring into a space really matters for the bigger picture that somebody has also invested time and energy in. Do you hear what I'm saying? Your self-esteem, your sense of self, your worth, when you're rooted in that awareness, you're very respectful to the energy that others are creating. You're respectful to that, and you are contributing to building the power and the vibration of whatever the vision of that singular person or collective group. In Mount Abu, India, it is the spiritual headquarters of the Brahma Kumaris and Kumaris. It's a huge organization where each person has an individual sense of self responsibility to world transformation. And every year there's a particular season between October to March where many of the students from the over 110 countries travel to Mount Abu to have a deeper experience of their spiritual efforts and to meet with the global community of friends and to share their ideas of service and their own self-transformation. And then there's a meeting that generally takes place maybe once or twice a month. We'll call it like the meeting of your time with God. It's your connection to the divine. It's your intimate relationship with God that's getting rekindled, reaffirmed. There's a punctuality about those meetings. There's a class that starts like at 5:30 and then something else at 6 and offering of food and then the sharing of the wisdom at 7 and spot on. Let's say the session starts at 7. There are 20,000 people in the room. And everybody started to come in earlier before the session would start at 7. Once that session starts, and the instrument, who was the main body for the messaging of the Brahma Kumaris, once that instrument came on the stage and everyone was sitting in that hall, the power of that space was beyond words. And there was no way you were ever going to show up after the power of that energy entered that room and destroyed that vibration. There was no way your mind would even think of showing up late or after that energy would enter the room. You didn't want to miss a second of that vibration. And because of that practice that I've witnessed at the headquarters, I've seen the benefit of the way the energy is being built on that land. Everything has a time. 4 o'clock, early morning meditation. 6:30, meditation, Murli, 7. Breakfast, 8:30. Class, 10:30. Lunch, 12:30. Rest, 2. More tea, 4:30. Another class and meditation, 6:30. Everything has a time. And once you're aware of the time schedule, your mind becomes free. And it becomes a sort of a norm for you to experience what it's like to have a free mind. Punctuality gives you freedom of the mind, your intellect, your sense of self, your deepest feelings in your spirit. It gives you a sense of deep freedom when you're punctual. No one's going to pull your intellect because you're late, and you are not getting pulled because you're late. How many of you have ever had the experience driving and going somewhere and you feel that you're late to this appointment in a car? And as you're going and you keep telling yourself, I'm late, I'm running late, I'm running late. Just check the way your body feels. Check the way your inner world feels, your mind, your intellect. Check what the other people must be feeling when they realize you're not there, you haven't arrived yet, and the kind of confusion that goes on in the atmosphere as a result of a lack of punctuality. How karmically deep is that? To put people in an unnecessary space of waste. Unnecessary. When I'm soul conscious, which is having the awareness that there's the being of light behind my eyes, I'm speaking to you. I, the soul, sitting behind these two eyes, I'm only sharing with you either things that I felt, what I perceive, interpret, understand, experience, what I've been told, maybe haven't realized it yet, or whatever's been the makeup of my being, I, the soul, am sharing that with you. Now, when you start to value your inner being, your soul's energy, realizing that the soul is on a journey throughout time, and that the choices you make do impact the results, situations, circumstances, relationships, how they function for you is a result of the choices you've made, and that time and being punctual plays a very important role. I think after today, we will begin to value time and being respectful for other people's time, and that will be more punctual about things and not waste our time or waste the energy and the time of others. Let's do a little experiment. For those of you who struggle with being punctual, and for those of you who are always waiting on others to catch up, I want to do a little simple experiment to try to help you to see how important your every second is. And that even if you are missing the importance of a second, the question can come in your consciousness, how much of life am I missing by wasting a second? So, I'm going to invite you to take a deep breath, and I'm going to ask you to hold your breath while I count in my mind how many seconds you are able to hold your breath without breathing. When you can't hold your breath anymore, please exhale. Do not force it and do not cheat, and just take small little breaths. Just breathe out, okay? And what I'll do, maybe I can count on my finger just to give you all an idea then of how many seconds you're holding your breath. And there's no right or wrong to this, so please don't worry about it. So just take a deep breath in. Ready? And hold it. 60 seconds. See how long 60 seconds felt? How long could you hold your breath? 10 seconds? 20 seconds? 30 seconds? 40 seconds? You were holding your breath, your time, waiting to be able to breathe so that you could live. 50 seconds? 50 seconds of your time was on hold. And when you're not punctual and you have somebody waiting for 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 20 minutes, 30 minutes, how much are you suffocating them from being free? When them being with you is an important part of whatever it is that you both have to do, have to go to the airport, have to get this program, I have to wake up at this time, I have to get this, we have to go here. You see the power of 60 seconds? And to just show up at a particular space, at a particular time, because it's ordained, you flow. The energy flows. People are not trying to catch up. Oh no, okay, finally they're here. Oh, well, let me pass out this paper for this one. Oh, well, you can tell this one how this went. And all of that energy is such a waste of time. It's almost as if you're trying to resurrect a dying energy because you're not understanding the power of punctuality. If you develop a vision in your head of always being late, you will. If you develop a vision in your head that you believe, I don't know, time, whatever is needed is needed. If you develop a vision in your head of, they're always late anyway, I'll go 10 minutes later. If you develop the belief system, do you know being fashionably late is a good thing? No, it's not. If you develop these ideas in your head, you'll start to see it like you always see yourself showing up late. And you get used to feeling as if you're suffocating. And you get used to other people being suffocated by your lack of punctuality, as if it's the norm. I'm going to play a little video for you on a vision in you. There's a vision that pulls. There's a vision that pulls you forward. And if you're late, it's almost as if you're suffocating and waiting and waiting and waiting for your fortune to open, waiting for fortune to come to you, waiting for freedom, waiting for happiness, waiting for love, waiting, waiting, waiting. And so you keep running late and you get this vision and you want others to run late with you because misery likes company. Oh, how I love being in Raj Yoga, because being punctual is so important in not only breathing, but flowing according to the drama. This drama that is preordained is fixed. Every second matters. Why should I be late? Let's take a moment and just reflect on some of the thoughts that I've shared and see if it made any sense to you. If you're now willing to understand the importance of punctuality in your life and why it's time that we value this value more than ever. Let's take a moment. Pain pushes, and your vision pulls you. Pain is a great motivator, and it pushes us to the brink of seeking change. Under the influence of pain, we deeply desire to be free, to be healed, to see what is hidden, to know what is unknown. Yet we can either be pushed by our pain or pulled by a vision. Vision too is a great motivator. It pulls us to the calling of a future and what may be possible. The soul is energized as it dwells in the realm of possibility. And I am lifted up by the hope of my dreams and vision. Pain will push me, but my vision will pull me. Yeah, I love that meditation. It was nice, no? Yeah. I mean, what's pulling you? The same recording, the same repetition of habits and behaviors that are really not serving the soul? You have to keep asking yourself these questions. Because there are certain choices that we're making that are making life harder for us than it really needs to be. You know, in Raj Yoga teachings, consider yourself a soul and remember God the Father. In our teachings every day is this fundamental message. Consider yourself to be who you really are, a soul that is pure, peaceful, kind, loving, generous, And then from that place, remember God the Father, the ocean of love, the ocean of peace, the ocean of kindness, the ocean of generosity. And there's something about that practice that makes you timely. Just that one fundamental practice will make you value yourself, cultivate self-esteem, respect the self and respect others, will definitely identify that your presence makes a difference in a room. Even if you're 5 or 10 minutes early, your presence is helping the space to grow. And when you're late and that energy comes in of a lack of respect for the time and space, waste of energy in organizing your life, that you show up on the right time in the right way, and you bring that energy in the room, you're pulling the power from that space. You're pulling the power from what the team wants to achieve. And that one fundamental practice, consider yourself a soul, pure, peaceful, loving, kind, generous, immortal, imperishable, eternal. And then to go to God in that state is a timely affair. You'll always have time to do this. And if you practice doing that now, maybe in those critical moments in your life, where it might be where you're taking your last breath, you will be on time. And you will not feel that you've regretted anything in those final moments. Because your soul will leave with the experience of being connected to the self in a way of values and virtues, and having that really deep, intimate link with God. And that whatever that time is, that is just time for you to change, then you'll be on time. You won't feel that you're going too soon or going too late. I'm on time. The way you've lived your life was truthful, thoughtful, mindful. It had sacredness in there, divinity, wisdom, truthfulness. It had God's love in it. And if you carry those qualities in your soul, you will always be on time. Acha.
Amazing. Thank you so much for your amazing experiences and even the beautiful meditation which all of us did. So let's take a few questions, which actually a lot of it is being told to us by the Supreme Being in the Murlis, that is the spiritual versions which we have in the class daily. So quite a few Brahmins, and I must say spiritual seekers rather, they struggle with these two things which are opposite of punctuality, that is laziness and carelessness. So how do we get rid of these two very nasty anti-punctual stuff?
Actually, I actually gave the answer, which is the fundamental teachings of the Brahma Kumaris, to consider yourself a soul and remember the Supreme Being, the one above. I can take you through a lot of intellectual concepts, and they're great. But I have to tell you, even in the last month, that's all I've been focusing on, everyone. Have I really understood what it feels like, the experience of being a soul and remembering God, the Supreme? And that whenever I do that, I will automatically grab the thoughts that are required when I'm in that naturally truthful and pure state. So that's my answer. What do you do with carelessness and laziness? I have no idea. I'm not a lazy person, and I've not been a lazy person. In my mind is, I don't know why anyone would be lazy at this time. Time is so valuable. Time is so short. Life is to be lived. There's a reason why your soul is in your body. It's not to sit there and slouch and be slothful and look at television all day and just listen to stuff and Google social media and just blah, blah, blah. I don't know what it's like to live like that. And I'm glad that I don't. If you are trapped in that laziness, get with it and recognize your soul has entered your body for a much higher purpose than slouching, lazying around, and waiting for some miracle to occur. What I do sense that sometimes when you're in that state, I would recommend that you look for where your desires might be. There might be an element of a desire that is distracting you from what you have to do. There might be an element of jealousy that is taking over your consciousness and it's weighing you down. And so you're not able to do what you want to do because you feel others are doing better than you and you don't like them and they shouldn't get any more chances and blah, 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 blah. But laziness, simply to me, laziness and carelessness are very intertwined. But carelessness for me is when you start to give up. You're giving up too much on yourself. You know, you're giving up a little bit too much on yourself too quickly. And maybe it's connected to those unfulfilled desires. So my answer simply is what we teach in the Brahma Kumaris every single day. And we hear it every day that we don't know what to really do with it anymore. But go back to it. If you deeply slow down and you consider yourself to be a soul, really deeply feel that energy. You really feel the soul. And you connect to God. There's no way you could be lazy or careless. It won't allow you. So I would just check with laziness, desires, jealousies, with carelessness. Are you moving into some little form of depression that you're just giving up on yourself and you're just not caring about yourself anymore because you're not getting these desires fulfilled? But replace it with, my soul is in my body for a reason. And it is to live. And it is to grow. And it is to challenge. And it is to learn. And it is to try new things. And it is to be curious. And it's even to try to experiment with how deep can I love God and observe what that love can do in the world. To just be an observer of being in connection with the soul, connecting to the Supreme, and watching how that energy works around you in itself will keep you enthused. So I wish you well, whoever asked that question.
It's fantastic. So I think you've already covered this question, but I will take it because one of the doctors in the audience is asking. She's mentioned it that she's conducting a lot of leadership training workshops around the globe, maybe online. And irrespective of the country, she's got few participants who always show up late. And it's really frustrating, she's saying, as a facilitator, like where one block feeds into the other and people miss a chunk of it, as you rightly said, it dilutes the effectiveness of the workshops. So how do I best handle such situations as a facilitator?
Well, of course, you're going to go through some periods of complaining about it in your head. Like, why are they always late? This shouldn't happen. That. Okay. A part of me had to just accept that I couldn't change them anymore. I couldn't show them anymore the importance of them being on time and even being earlier than the time is required. I just, to be honest with you, doctor, I just gave in and gave up to it. And to the ones who were early and to the ones who were respectful to the time and the energy, then I chose to dedicate my energy in that direction more. And of course, the latecomers would always have a comment or something, and I would just say, yes, I'll get back to you. Because obviously you don't have the energy that is required. So I'll get back to you. So I've had to deal with that. Another step is, again, they're educated people. I'm sure they should understand the importance of time and basically tell them, I just would like to emphasize the importance of joining in flat at this time. And one of the things that we've started to do, Doc, on Zoom is there's a particular time period that if people are not coming in the waiting room at the specific time, let's say it starts at 10, and we give until 10:10 or 10:15 the latest. After that, no one's allowed. And then when I think the soul understands it's missing something, it might start to see, wait, what am I doing? It was 10 o'clock? Well, I'll be there 10. Those are just my suggestions.
So perfect. So I don't need to disturb my energy because all these, I need to really be strong and empowered in such situations to handle them. So a very similar, yeah.
But I just want to say, you see what happens when people are late, how it affects even the people who are putting in the energy for the larger agenda, how it becomes a karmic burden for the person who is late, but also the kind of a karma it creates for the person who has put in the energy to make things work. Like, gosh, this is painful. This is painful to be doing this. And so again, it's also helping you and me to learn how to rise above things we can't control. And that's another value. But how to be able to really rise above things I just can't control. But as a result, I have to find a way to reduce that and try to make that change. I do the meditation classes here in DC. And when souls walk in after 15, 20, 30 minutes after the classes start, we've even gone to extremes of just close the door. And when they close the door, they're banging it, ringing the bell. I says, just open the door. Just open the door. Just forget it.
Great. So closely related to this is, how can I sort of maintain my energy, and can I change people with my good wishes? Can I change their habits and behaviors? As you were covering that, probably in the last birth, you weren't punctual, but now in this birth, through your punctual vibrations, can you make them punctual? Is it possible?
I'm sure anything is possible. Story, a wife living at home with her husband. The husband keeps telling her, you're useless. She decides to leave. She comes to one of the centers. She says, I can't go back there. I just can't. So the center decides to kind of help her because they don't know what else to do. The husband writes a letter to the whole organization. Okay, this is what happened. My wife is useless. We thought you guys would help her. I'm sure that even though she is there with you all, she won't last. They won't keep you for another week or two. She's useless. These are his thoughts on her. She pushes through and she maintains her good wishes for him. And she blesses him. She says, I've been married to you for 30 years. I don't wish you any harm, but I need to get my life together. I need to upgrade my life. And she kept having good wishes for him. Long story short, they've moved on. He's now living on his own. She's living on her own. And guess what? He has so much respect for her. Now they're best friends. Now they talk to each other. Now they hang out with each other. Who changed who? I would say that her good wishes and her pure feelings reminded him that he had the capacity to have good wishes and pure feelings. So can you change people? You can only change yourself. And when you change yourself, it will inspire people to change.
Wonderful. Another question is on climate change. Like, I can just share this. It's hot summers here in India. In April, it never used to rain. But now it's become so hot that every day it's raining and it's disastrous for the crops. The farmers are sort of oppressed with all these things because they are losing money on that and it's a lot of damage. So I think the climate change is in a big way trying to show us that something has gone wrong in your punctuality over a long period of time. So how do we correct this?
Yeah, that's a great question. Again, it goes back to correcting your time clock, correcting the way you're using your thoughts, your words, your behavior. Is it in alignment with the universal law of nature? Example, I'm in a room having a meeting. There's one soul who comes in over and over again every time I'm meeting with some question or some comment in the middle of the meeting. Let's say I'm talking about global change. She comes in and she'll say, "What's for dinner?" Or she'll come in and say, "What's the totally for the day?" Or, "Did you see what happened? My stocks are up." And I'm like, okay. It's not the right time. So what happens is that inside of ourselves, we also have thoughts, we also say things, we also do things which are not appropriate for the time of our existence. So since we are a part of nature, the nature is also reflecting the consequence of us being non-punctual. And so the seasons are off, the nature is off, and we're only witnessing the proof of what being not time conscious or not punctual can do. It throws things off. And that's what nature is showing too. So what we can do is what I will continuously tell you on this talk today. Consider yourself a soul and remember God. It will fall in place. Consider yourself a soul. Experience the energy of the soul and then feel God's light on you. The earth will replenish. There'll be no climate chaos that's going on, and things will come back into its original state. I mean, you could do things like vegetarianism, don't smoke, don't drink, don't hurt, don't be violent. You can do all of those physical things, but we've been telling people to do this for 87 years in the Brahma Kumaris, and people are still struggling. And the reason why, they're not experiencing themselves as souls. And the connection to God is essential in putting that power in. So when the power comes in you, I can be a vegetarian. I don't need to drink. I don't need to smoke. I don't need to be violent. I don't need to speak loud. I don't need to do a lot of things because I can feel the sustenance coming from God and the responsibility that follows. So yes, back to my same answer in today's talk, connected to punctuality, connected to time, people, what do you do when people are late, connected to climate change. Feel your soul, everyone. Feel it. Remember God. And use that experience that you get from soul consciousness and remembrance of God in your walking, eating, sleeping, communicating, exchanging ideas with individuals, with your relationship, with the way you take care of the planet, in the world. So
You mentioned about being ever ready. So, it's very right that people who are time conscious, they're always ever ready. We have never covered this value of being ever ready, but I think we should cover it. So do you want to throw some light on what is the spiritual context when you say be ever ready?
I think in my case, it's a little different. When I was very young, I used to envision I was going to leave my body at 33 years old. So I don't know why I just used to see the number 33 and that I would not live past 33. By the way, I'm living my bonus years now. And I just felt like there wasn't any time to waste, Brother Manoj. And as a result, I used to value every day, every moment, everything was mattered. And even in the times when I'm just out having a good time, I would still look for windows of some sort of a realization or teaching. So I didn't waste my reason for coming to this place, or I didn't waste my reason for being with this person. Maybe it's the spark in their eyes. Maybe it was the way they dressed. Maybe it's the way they walked press in the room. I would learn something from them. So being ever ready is sort of like being alert to learning something new. And as a result of being alert to learning something new, you are able, you are ready to offer whatever's needed at that time. And goes back again to soul and God. If you've been taking care of the soul, and the soul has acquired enough experience, enough beautiful, beautiful, beautiful wisdom, whatever shows up, you can handle it. It's such a long story, and it's such a great topic, brother, because there's so much in being ever ready, where you've done what you've had to do, you've put everything in place, and so whatever's needed, you're available for seva. So have you done everything here that you need to do? Have you done everything here that needs to get done? You're free. And when your mind is free, you're ever ready for whatever fortune comes knocking at your door, or whatever learning experience comes knocking on your door.
Right. So I think we should schedule a talk sometime in the near future, in the next 6 months, on being ever ready with you as the speaker. I hope we can do that. Yeah, and I'll take a few more quotes. We have 5 more minutes, so hope that's fine. This quote is very commonly said, better late than never. But George Bernard Shaw has mentioned better never than late. So do you want to elaborate this?
I'll go with Mr. Shaw's quote, better never than late. I'm telling you, everyone, you ruin the atmosphere when you're late. When we said better late than never, I guess it's really for the person who was able to capture whatever was left of the moment. For them, little is enough. But for those who are putting in the energy, little will never be enough. It's what is abundant and unlimited that is enough. So you can do it in both ways. Bernard Shaw, better never than late. If you can't make it on time, don't come at all. But if you only want a little and feel like that's all that you're worth, then I guess better late than never. That's how I would look at it. But what's wrong with just being on time? What's wrong with just being 5 minutes or 10 minutes early and sitting and just being in your own company and remembering God and appreciating the space that you're in and the room that you're in? What's wrong with that? Maybe no one ever explored the beauty of being early and the treasures and the gifts that come from being early. You gain something that nobody else gains, for those who come late at least. You gain sacredness, peace, intimacy, because you're the first one, so you mean something. If there's somebody else in the room, you can actually have a meaningful, quiet conversation with them. Maybe because you're there early, somebody calls you for help and they open up your fortune. So coming early is much better than coming late. Don't you think?
Absolutely. Reminds me of another question in the chat box. Someone is speaking about Indian weddings. And we have seen that, we have witnessed them, that all of them are on time, the guests, but the couple is always late.
I cannot answer that. All I know, we had a comedian call, oh, what was her name again? Santosh. Oh, she was just brilliant. Vidya something or something like that. And she's a comedian and she's performed for some of our events. And there was one joke she gave how she took all of her American friends to an Indian wedding. And they were all excited, you know, all of her white American friends. And they were like, oh my gosh, it's so colorful. Oh, you Indians are just so delightful. And she was so happy for the first day of the wedding. And then the second day of the wedding, it's another thing. And they're like, oh, there are 2 days of the wedding. Oh, wow, this is really amazing. Then it went on. Then there was 3, 4, 5 days. On the 5th day of the wedding, all of her American friends are like bawling. When is this wedding going to end? Is this ever going to end? And so, you know, these things do occur where enough is enough. People can only hold on long enough for the same thing. And I think for the poor bride and groom, they must be just so nervous in making this commitment that they're so caught up in their heads that they're never ever able to be on time for these weddings because maybe they're just having too many thoughts. But yeah, Indian weddings are quite an experience. That's all I could say.
And in the interest of time, this last quick question is about, you shared about Daddy Janki's example, the moment, I mean, your parents.
At the beginning.
Yeah, at the beginning. So do you want to share through your spiritual journey, almost 30, 35 years, a few examples of how the seniors in the organization have stuck to this punctuality, this value, and have really been successful because of that?
Yeah, I learned a really powerful lesson. Daddy Ratan Mohini, we were in Shantivan, the main headquarters of the Brahma Kumaris in India. And I happened to have gone down the hill at the time and I needed to ride up the hill. And she said, meet me at 7. I got there at 7:01. She was gone. And again, I'm usually always punctual. And in India, it's harder to get to your destination on time. Sometimes you miss the level of how much it takes to get to your destination. You need to ride from this place to get to this place to get to that place. When I got to Daddy's cottage, 7:01, 7:02 max, that car was gone. I had to stay the night. No towel, no change of clothes, nothing. Had to stay the night. In the morning, I went to my friend, Dr. Savita. I got towel, got change of clothes. I went up the hill puffing. Daddy, I went to see you and you didn't even wait on me. She looked at me sweetly and lovingly. I said 7. The power of self-mastery. I don't value it as much as she did. These souls have a handle. They know about the importance of every second and the value of every moment. And she didn't really think, oh, I wonder if Jen is going to get a ride. Let me send a ride for her. I said 7. And I think what the seniors have of the organization, which is incredible, is not only the experience over a long period of time of experimenting with all these ideas and them working for them, but they've now understood the importance of life. And so what I've learned from instruments, don't waste your life. Be of service. If you can't physically give anything, your money, your time, your skills, be an instrument that can generate vibrations that comfort, the minds of souls. And if you can comfort the minds of souls, it means you have been living your life in great comfort, in soul awareness, in God awareness. And every time I watch all of the seniors throughout time, they all have the same fundamental belief. Time is essential. God is here. My change has to occur within, and I must create my fortune. And you put all of that together and use that for yourself, and it would be the greatest treasure of all.
So wonderful to end on that. We all have to create our fortune by being punctual. So thank you so much. An amazing discussion. We never knew how half an hour went. So I would request Sister Anu now to propose the vote of thanks. Over to you, Sister.
Thank you, Brother Manoj. And I don't think there's any word that I can say to express my thanks, because definitely it stirred something very deep inside of me. Beautiful meditation, that visual, and a lot of aspects very deeply you have touched on. And as I always say, each of us, we revisit, we must have to reflect and take it on for ourselves. So it's a genuine thanks from each of us here. And I loved it that you have to show up because you have to make your fortune, and you get tied up with wrong karma by making others disturb. That was such a deep thing. So not only punctual on time, but before time. We must show up to make our own, and so many other aspects. Thank you so much, Sister Gina. You have always enriched us beyond and a lot more. So thanks.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you all for doing what you do. And for those of you who come on as viewers, or if you're even new to their channel, all I can tell you, I've done many, many Zooms, but I have to admit this channel and what these group of souls are doing has been the most sincere, generously orchestrated programs. They have put time and energy in this, and they're over 60 something shows in the making here, and have been consistent during COVID and post COVID. And all I can say to all of you out there, support them. Share this if you think it was meaningful to you. Find out if there's anything that they might need, and email them, contact them, and let's grow together so that the soul can feel this fulfilled way of living. And this is a great time to get involved with now creating your fortune. There's no time to waste.
Amazing. Thank you so much for putting that empowering and powerful and kind words for each of us. So you all can reach out to us, and without the participants, audience, of course, this program can't happen. It wouldn't be successful until now. And we have also a very dedicated team of translators, recorders that enable us to prepare the videos in many different languages later on. So you can check our website and watch those videos and take benefit. Of course, be a part of us. Thank you so much, Anna.
I think over to you, Sister Anu, for the announcements and
Sure,
the photo.
yes.
Then we'll go
so that will have comment. Yeah. Sorry about maybe a minute delay. So let's quickly look at our upcoming programs. As we always do, after 1 week, we'll have the workshop on punctuality, same value. We continue. The first hour will be experiential exercises to deepen the understanding and experience of this value and take it practically to our lives. And the second hour will have Sister Dipti from South Africa. She will continue our insightful journey by her talk on punctuality, and she will also do a meditation. So it is happening next week, Saturday, 22nd April morning 7 a.m. for West Coast, and that makes it 7:30 India time. So note the dates and time and join us. And yeah, being ever ready, as Dr. Manoj mentioned, maybe we'll have that value sometime, but we are having the silence retreat on that being ever ready on Saturday evening 8 p.m. for West Coast. That is Sunday 23rd April 8:30 a.m. for India time. And these are all based on Brahma Kumaris teachings. So we'll welcome everybody to come and experience, check it out. It is not this physical being ever ready, but what is that spiritual ever ready? Get that? Our next session, that is episode 64, is on clarity. That is Spashtata in Hindi. And for that, we'll have very senior, our very, very senior Didi, Asha Didi from Om Shanti Retreat Center, Delhi, India, and Brother Charlie from Sydney, Australia. Please join us then. That is on 30th April, Sunday morning, India time, 9 a.m. in order to accommodate Australia time. And that's how it's a different timing. And for West Coast, US, Canada, it's 29th April, Saturday evening, 8:30. We'll check our websites. That's vihasa.in and vancouver.brahmakumaris.ca for all the information and invitations of these programs. And our YouTube channel have all the videos. So thank you, everyone. And we don't want to definitely miss the meditation by Sister Jenna. And definitely before that, sister, we always do a photograph. So people always request for that. I'm sure you all are ready. So let me just. Another few seconds. Anybody have not switched on that? There you go. So we'll hand it over to Sister Jenna.
Thank you, Angel. So we'll play our Om Shanti meditation upbeat and deep as well. Thanks again, everyone. Take good care and enjoy.
Thank you once again.